Should I keep my patient NPO or not? Should it be strict NPO or can I give oral medications, sips of water, ice chips or gums? What if the patient is having a procedure tomorrow? How long does he or she need to be fasting for? We will answer all of these questions in the first part of this video. In the second part, I will quickly discuss inpatient diet orders and the common mistakes we encounter. Let's start. NPO, nil per os, which means nothing by mouth, is the exceptions, not the rule. Remember that. We must have a valid reason to keep our patients NPO and feed them as soon as the indication is not valid anymore. So part of our daily rounding is to check whether your patient is on NPO status, and if so, reassess the necessity of this restriction. The last things we need is to keep our patient fasting for no good reason. NPO status can be strict, where nothing is allowed by mouth, and non-strict, where oral medications, ice chips, sips of water are allowed. Before we continue, if you would like to receive a summary of this video, kindly subscribe to my Substack. The link is provided below. The following conditions are indication of a strict NPO status. 2 hours before a planned procedure, small bowel obstruction or ileus, acute abdomen, high risk for aspiration like altered mental status, strokes affecting your swallowing, etc. Esophageal perforation, which can be part of the acute abdomen, active GI bleed, post-intra-abdominal surgery patients until cleared by their surgical team. In such cases, we need to switch essential medications, all essential medications, to their IV form or IV equivalents. IV fluids are mostly indicated whether for resuscitations or maintenance, which I discussed previously on the channel. The following are indications of non-strict NPO status: intractable abdominal pain or vomiting, DKA and non-ketotic hyperosmolar hyperglycemia while they still on insulin drip, and pre-procedure NPO status. Acute pancreatitis, diverticulitis, and cholecystitis are not indication for NPO unless intractable pain or vomiting exists. In such a case, we keep them NPO until the pain and vomiting are under control. Otherwise, these patients should be placed on clear liquid diet and advance as tolerated. For DKA and non-ketotic hyperosmolar hyperglycemia, we need to keep these patients non-strict NPO until the anion gap is closed in the DKA status, the insulin drip is switched off, and basal insulin is started. I still see people start people on diet while the gap is not closed and they still on insulin drip, which is a common mistake. In non-ketotic hyperosmolar hyperglycemia, we keep them NPO until they are mentally clear, their hyperglycemia under better control, and transition from insulin drip to basal insulin / bolus insulin if they will have adequate oral intake. Let's move and talk about pre-procedures NPO guidelines. But before that, let me explain what a clear liquid and full liquid diets mean. Clear liquid includes water, juices without pulp, coffee or tea without milk or cream, and carbohydrate drinks like sodas. On the other hand, the non-clear or full liquid diets include milk products, formulas, and other liquids with suspended particles or pulps. Milk is treated more like a solid, as gastric emptying of non-human milk has been thought to be similar to emptying of solid food. Chewing gums that is swallowed is considered a solid food as well. Now let me go over the guidelines for NPO before a procedure. Clear liquids. Patient can have clear liquid until 2 hours before the procedure. See, until 2 hours only before the procedure. So our patient can have tea, coffee, water until 2 hours before the procedure. Full liquid diets including non-human milks. Here the patient can have full liquid diet and non-human milk up to 6 hours before the procedure. Fatty food or meat, the patient can eat solid food up to 8 hours before the procedure. Now for light meal and light snacks, 6 hours of fasting can be adequate. Patient can chew gum until 2 hours before sedation or anesthesia, as long as they don't swallow that gum. Now for oral medications, patients should routinely take medications on the day of surgery with water or clear liquids, and ideally this should happen more than 2 hours before the scheduled procedure. For medication that must be taken within 2 hours of the procedure, like forgotten doses, medication that must be administered on a strict schedule, or medication used as part of anesthesia, intravenous preparations are preferred. Oral medication within 2 hours of surgery should be taken with a sip of water. For patients who must take medication with a thickened liquid and who need oral medication within 6 hours of surgery, options include taking the medication with gelatin or clear jelly. How about bowel preparation solutions like Golightly? We consider these solutions to be clear liquids. So follow the clear liquids guidelines. How about oral contrast for imaging? We consider them full liquids, although some radiologists require the last dose ingested within 4 hours of the procedure. In that case, the anesthesiologist will have to decide whether to perform rapid sequence induction and intubation for general anesthesia or not in such case. So remember, your patient can have a clear liquid diet till 2 hours before the procedure. I hope now we stop and eliminate the NPO after midnight order. Let's move to the second part of this video, the inpatient diet orders. All patients should be on regular diet except diabetic patients who should be on a diabetic diet, volume overloaded patients who should be on a low sodium diet, and advanced chronic kidney disease or patients who are not on dialysis yet. We're trying to delay the progress to end-stage disease. We place them on renal diet. Long time ago, I have ditched the cardiac diet and hepatic diet from my dictionary. For hemodialysis patients, I individualize their diet based on associated conditions and comorbidities. Now, some may argue that what's the point of placing a patient on a therapeutic diet if they are not compliant, and the fact they will go back to whatever they want to eat once discharged. Here, our job is to advocate for the right kind of diet, even if the patient will not be compliant after discharge. These studies showed improvement in diet compliance in these patients post-discharge. Now, if they insist on having a regular diet against our recommendation, they have the right to do so. We cannot force them to have a diet against their wish. In such a case, we have to treat them while they are on the diet they choose to be on. In the end, if you find this video useful, please give it a like, share it with your colleagues, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. And remember that you can receive a summary of this video and the previous and access to the previous summaries of the previous videos kindly by subscribing to my Substack page. The link is provided below. Thanks for watching.